Okay. Welcome to our fourth vocabulary snippet on selective highlighting. My name is Kim.
And my name is Debbie.
We will be facilitating this short session with an in-depth look at selective highlighting. Once you complete this webinar snippet, you will be able to apply this strategy in your classroom immediately to support students' building of their vocabulary. You may wish to download the participation guide that is provided. Let's get started. We are constantly seeking feedback from the teachers viewing our series and have heard your requests for continued short strategy sessions that you can use immediately for your classroom instruction. This next several minutes will supply you with the knowledge and ideas of how to effectively implement the selective highlighting strategy within your content area. Selective highlighting is a flexible strategy that may be tailored to fit various types of information and different skill levels. You can engage students in selective highlighting for many different instructional purposes, such as key vocabulary and main ideas. This strategy can also be integrated with the use of technology and electronic sources, such as ebooks. As students study, selective highlighting helps them learn to pay attention to the essential information within a text.
Selective highlighting is used to help students organize what they have read by selecting what is important. This strategy teaches students to highlight only the key words, phrases, vocabulary, and ideas that are central to understanding the reading passage. This strategy is strategic, selective, and purposeful for student learning. Selective highlighting is an important strategy because it teaches students to identify the important points of a text. The strategy allows for greater learning and deeper comprehension and also helps students pay close attention to what they are reading. Students will need modeling and guided practice to learn to use this strategy effectively. Sample pieces of text or old textbooks are ideal for practicing. You can also begin training by using a well-known text that has been read and discussed often. By using something well-known initially, students are familiar with the text and can focus on using the strategy effectively. This strategy also works well with distance and virtual learning. Share the featured text and model highlighting as students complete their own copies in person or virtually. Start with main ideas, then move to details once students have the idea of the process. Selective highlighting can also be used as a study and a test-taking tool.
Create a simple system for your students by teaching them what to underline versus what to highlight. Both underlining and highlighting can be used to identify important information. The advantage of underlining is that additional written information or questions can be included on the page. A highlighter will identify information for later review. When underlining, teach students to write notes in the margin, create questions in the textbook for later discussion or review, which can also be done on a Post-it note, create summaries of the information at the end of chapter sections, enclose information in boxes or circles to signify topics or material to be emphasized, make stars by important examples, graphs, or diagrams, then create checklists in the margins of items that should be recalled in a sequence. You could also draw arrows to connect similar information found in separate paragraphs and write out explanations for abbreviations or unfamiliar vocabulary. And when highlighting, students should highlight approximately 10 to 15% of each page. This means that the page containing about 40 lines of the text should have an equivalent about 4 to 5 lines highlighted. This task is accomplished by selective highlighting of essential information. The whole page should not be highlighted. Use a yellow highlighter to illuminate crucial information, such as the main idea, to make this information stand out. Using a contrasting color highlighter to signify any new vocabulary, and then to accentuate key words in the main idea, use an additional color. This slide can also be turned into an anchor chart for students to use when a reminder is needed.
When explicitly teaching selective highlighting, teachers should have students read through the entire selection or paragraph first. Reread and begin to highlight main ideas and supporting details. Highlight only the facts which are important or the key vocabulary, not the entire sentence. After highlighting, look at what is highlighted to summarize what was read. Students should be able to take what was highlighted and write a summary paragraph. If you are virtual when the students are rereading and selecting the main ideas and supporting details, they can highlight, change the font of the text, or use text boxes for comments. Have them summarize what was read by using the highlighted text or text boxes to write a summary paragraph. Teachers may wish to have students use various colors of highlighters to identify main ideas from details. For example, use orange to represent main ideas and yellow to represent supporting details. Selective highlighting is a strategy that can be used in all content areas. Here are just a few examples of how to use it with informational text, opinion pieces, and virtual options. As you can see, the styles differ based on the reading material.
Some final tips to remember when implementing selective highlighting with your students are to read the whole chapter or article first. You can't possibly know what the important points are until you've read it. And you also want to avoid a page that is more highlighter than print or sections that are of little relevance to the learning. Students sometimes think of highlighting as an easier option than taking their own notes, but this is simply not the case. Writing your own notes is an essential part of processing and understanding information. By putting something into your own words, you're actively digesting and making sense of that concept, as well as committing it to memory. Highlighting is a more passive process, and it doesn't make the information stick in the same way. Highlighting is done for different reasons. A few examples are to identify vocabulary, main idea, and details. If you always use one color highlighter or pen, things can start to get confusing very quickly. In order for this not to happen, use more than one color when highlighting by creating a color coding system. The Good Notes blog suggests using 3 types of highlighters and pens to avoid confusion when looking back at your material. Finally, remember that your students will not all be learning at the same pace. Some students will need support. Ways to support students during learning the strategy practice is remembering the scaffold principle. I do, we do, then you do. Are you providing multiple opportunities for practice with partners? Partners can begin with the teacher guiding them, then move to small group work. As students grasp the skill, have them work with partners before sending them off on their own. For stretch, be mindful of students that have grasped this skill. Giving early independent ownership of practicing the skill may be in order. They can always check in with a teacher or a partner and explain their use of the strategy. The websites and videos have been provided to help you dig deeper into selective highlighting. The links can be located on the Selective Highlighting Participation Guide.
This concludes the selective highlighting snippet. We hope you found some useful ideas to propel your vocabulary instruction when implementing selective highlighting. Please join us for the next session focused on after vocabulary strategies, as well as a diverse learner series provided by Tracy Mail. See you soon.